Welcome back to the Gyms podcast, and we've got another one of our divisional franchisor interview series with Sharon Connell. So Sharon's in the Hall of Fame for gyms. You went in there, I think, a couple of years back. Well deserved as well with what you've been able to do, not only with cleaning before, but with the dog wash division. You basically built it from scratch to the leading in Australia dog wash and grooming franchise now by a mile. So first of all, do you want to talk a little bit about your story yourself, Sharon? So how did you get involved with gyms in the first place?
I started actually as a cleaning franchisee. And my whole goal then was I just didn't want a boss. That was all. I just wanted to have a job, make good money. And then when I came to training, I went, actually, I'd like to sell splits. And I got home, and then my franchisor wasn't selling the splits fast enough. So then I decided to take over the region. Everybody in the region left, so it was just me when I took over. And then I built that up to, I think I was about 110 or something. And I was getting a little bit bored, and it was really strange. I got up in the morning and said to my husband, I think I need a new challenge. And then as I was driving, Jim rang up and said, do you want to take over dog wash? And I went, okay. And because I had such good franchisees, like that, I think that was the Friday. By the Monday, I'd sold all my regions.
Right.
And then I took over dog wash, and that's where I've been since.
Yeah, because when you took it over, it was not knowing what it is now. So do you remember how many franchisees?
54.
54. And currently the number is 220 or
220 now.
220.
223 to be exact.
Yeah. So how did you then go about building the division from 50 to more than 200 in a pretty short amount of time?
It wasn't sales so much. It was fixing the culture. There was a lot of distrust, a lot of people that hadn't been trained. So I kind of went through every single process. Let's look at the training. What are we going to do? How can we make it better for franchisees? And then everything, what model was working best? What was, communication is a big one for franchisees as well. So I opened that communication up. And then it changed the culture. And then we started getting franchisees that wanted to have bigger businesses as well. So they were really good advocates too. Then after that, it just grew on its own after that. But it was changing the culture. I think that's a really big one. And
it's now the biggest in Australia because it wasn't back then, but now it is by a bit, and it's definitely going past a lot of things because your division with more than 200 franchisees, you've got a lot of unserviced work. I think you're nearly the highest, probably even more than mowing in the group, which is quite amazing for how many franchisees you've got as well. So you desperately obviously need them.
Yeah.
Is there any areas of particular focus in Australia where you need more franchisees or it's just everywhere?
Just everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. I turn on the unserviced leads because I like to see so I can make sure I target where we're going, but they're just everywhere. Because what happens is usually within 3 months, if you're just a franchisee that just wants to make a nice income, there's only so many hours in the day. So by 3 and 4 months, they're turning their leads off. So now you've got a trailer driving around and no one available to take work. And it's almost like as soon as you put one person on, you've got to be recruiting for the next one because you've got to keep up on that unserviced work. It's amazing how much there is. And
do you want to talk about then advertising and how you generate work in the division? So for someone who's looking at this and going, well, how does the work get generated? What do I need to do? Do you want to talk about the strategies and how you do it?
Okay. Well, the first is our trailer. It's the biggest billboard you could ever imagine. So quite often people will inquire and I'll send them out on a trial day and they'll ring me up and they'll say, while I was there on the trial day, 3 people knocked on the trailer asking for a groomer. So the first one is the trailer. The second one, most of it comes through Facebook. Our franchisees are really active on Facebook. They post on Marketplace. They're posting all the time. Facebook brings in probably the largest, I don't know the numbers, but the largest amount of leads. Yeah, it's amazing because the unserviced leads, generally it's the call centre or someone rings up, whereas most of your franchisees get stuff on Facebook, so it doesn't even take into account via Facebook as well. So it's probably many getting turned away there as well.
So many getting turned away, so it's probably maybe even double or more than what the actual unserviced lead report says, so it's a lot more. Yeah, I'm on a lot of each region has their own little chat groups, and there is constantly people passing jobs because somebody's come up to them on the street or somebody's contacted them on Facebook and they can't fit it in. So that number we see on Gyms Online is not even probably half of what we've got coming in. We did it down the road with Anton, it's not out yet, but I think we had 2 people literally drive up, stop him,
asking for it, so it's quite common.
Someone was telling me one day she was driving through a car park and there was a car behind her and he was flashing the lights, and it turned out it was actually someone wanting to book in a job.
Yeah.
They track you down, they run after you. We had a bit of a joke that in summer we wouldn't wear our uniforms to the dog parks or the beaches because you don't get a second piece. People come after you all the time.
Well, it's such an in-demand thing, and people love spending money on their dogs, and their local, the site-based groom might be booked out. But do you want to maybe talk about then the advantages of being of customers for mobile dog wash over, let's say, a site-based sort of salon?
Yeah. So there's a lot of advantages, well, in my opinion. The first one is you don't have to drive there. Your dog's safe at home, and it's a one-on-one service. So when you go to a salon, the dog is washed by one person, put in a cage to dry, a second person might groom them, and then they're left in the cage with other dogs barking at them. For a dog that's nervous anyway, they need to be near their home. You can be inside having a cup of tea and you know your dog's just right there. You can go out and check on them anytime you want. If you're looking for like a service that's more about personal care for your dog, it's certainly going to be a mobile because it's one-on-one.
Absolutely. And we've been out with filming with franchisees, and a couple of the clients had nervous dogs, and it was for that reason they wanted to do it, and just seeing how they handled it, and it was just a lot better experience from what I could tell than if they went to the site-based.
Imagine being a dog in a cage and then having all these other dogs barking at you all the time in an unfamiliar environment. It's pretty frightening for them.
And if you're a dog groomer as well, like, by yourself, you're in there, it's one dog, it's comfortable, as opposed to if you're in a salon where you've just got to try and
you really bond with them, with each dog. Quite often there'll be a bather, and then there'll be a groomer, and each time the dog comes in, it'll be a different person because they just allocate it on whoever's coming in.
Yeah.
But this time you know exactly who's grooming, how long they're going to take.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about then the training. So obviously, training component is quite involved with your division. So my question is probably, can anyone be trained to do this?
I think so.
Yeah.
As long as they want to. We have most of our people that come through have no grooming experience whatsoever. Some, like when I learnt, I took a lot longer, and I think it had been such a long time since I'd been in school and I wasn't very good at working with my hands either. It did take me a lot longer. Young people, I find, pick it up quicker. They're a little bit more confident, but everybody does eventually, as long as they want to.
And what's involved in the training? We're obviously here during Jim's group 2-day generic training week, but do you want to just talk about maybe the time frame and sort of what's involved with it?
So the 2 weeks of grooming training, it certainly won't make you an expert, but it'll give you all of those foundations. So grooming a dog is actually not terribly hard. It's once you introduce a live animal that it makes it really difficult. So a lot of that is just practice, and it's no point paying for an 8-week course when you just need to practice. You don't need to pay someone to be with you while you practice. So we give you the foundations. Dog grooming is really a lot of patterns. So most dogs will have, use this blade here, use these scissors here. So you'll have the foundation to then be able to practice to follow those patterns, if that makes sense. Yep. So you do 2 weeks of one-on-one training. Generally, you'll do anywhere between 5 and 7 dogs a day. So it really helps with your confidence, and the hardest part is handling the dog. If you could be the best groomer, but if the dog's running up and down the table, it doesn't matter. So you'll have someone with you all of that time, and then we also give you a 6-month subscription to a grooming academy.
Right.
So that's like self-paced online training that you can continue once you get those foundations down pat.
And do you want to just mention, talk about then the trailer itself as well? What makes it different, and just talk about what's gone into actually developing that.
Yeah, trailers are absolutely amazing at the moment. They're fully air conditioned, so heated, cooled. The new ones have got fridge panelling, so they're insulated as well, which is really good. It's all set up exactly where a groomer needs to be. The dryer's next to the bath, next to the table. The table's fully adjustable. The air conditioning makes a world of difference. Plus, you've got all the shelving that you need. Everything's kind of there in your hand, so you don't have to leave the dog and go somewhere else. It's fully enclosed, so you can groom in all weather. Especially now that they're insulated, it makes it so much better again.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've done a few down the roads which haven't come out yet, but they'll be out soon on YouTube. And Anton had a couple of big dogs, like 45, 50 kilos, and it handled no problem. And then it's set for the smaller dogs as well. And they're very comfortable. We're out there for a full day.
Yep.
And it was very comfortable for, obviously, the franchisee, the dog as well.
Yeah, lots of room, and everything's right there. I think that's the important one. You've got storage space. You don't have to leave the trailer to go out to the car to get things. There's so much space. They're really good.
Now, who suits this division then? Like, it might be an obvious answer, but who suits, like, what type of person, like, what should they be?
It's actually not what you think it would be. It's good if you like animals. It is a good business. If sometimes we find people love animals too much.
Right.
And what happens then is that you're not able to run a really good business. It's a really strange thing. So the more you love dogs, sometimes, not always, the less you are suited to running a business, because, you'll spend all day looking after this one dog because you want them to like you, and you're not able to be stern with them, and then you have no business if you only do one a day. So you have to kind of have that middle ground. Like, you have to like dogs. If you hate dogs, it's probably not the right business for you. But, you also have to have a little bit of a business mind as well, not just dogs. Absolutely. It's interesting, yeah.
Sure. And typical week for a Jim's Dog Wash franchisee, sort of how many dogs do they do or aim to do a day?
Oh, it depends. Everybody is so different. I have franchisees. You met Meg Leaney once.
Yes.
She does, I don't even know, 10, 12 dogs a day. And then there's some franchisees that want to take it a little bit easy and do 2 dogs a day.
Right.
That's the beauty of the business. You can kind of run it exactly how you want your business to be. There's no obligation from us because of the fees. I say that's the best thing about the fixed fees. My income isn't based on yours. So if you only want to do 3 dogs a day, I'm not hounding you to do more dogs to make me more money. You can run your business however it suits you.
I'm glad you pointed out, because it's obviously a common question in gyms is, what's the percentage and what's the fees? So just to confirm for people, it is a flat fee every month regardless of how many dogs they do.
How many dogs, how many trailers you have, how many days. I had a franchisee recently and they've got a wedding coming up. So she decided she'd work Saturday and Sundays, build up her money, because all that money is now just her money. She doesn't have to pay any extra fees, anything like that. So even if you just want to run your own little business, you've got that capacity to earn more money if you want to. And
you mentioned multiple trailers as well. So a franchisee can actually put on staff as well and actually grow like almost a fleet if they wanted to.
Exactly, yeah. Liz Cotton used to have 7 trailers back in the day. Yeah, she doesn't anymore.
It's a lot.
But we had a franchisee just recently. They started in 1 trailer, and her and a partner, but they outgrew the 1 trailer. So then the partner got a trailer as well. So then they've got 2. Then they put on an employee. So now they've got 3 trailers out the road. The fees are still exactly the same. It doesn't change.
So no extra fees. That's all the same.
Yeah.
There we go. And people are looking at gyms as well, the concept of a lead fee. So do you want to just explain about the lead fee and just talk about its purpose?
Yeah. So there's 2 parts with leads. The best way of getting work is to find it yourself. A lot of our work comes through Facebook, referrals. There's some people that say, you know what, I can't be bothered with all the marketing thing. I love the leads Jim sends me. So it's kind of up to you which way you want to take it. Again, it's the beauty of gyms. You can say, look, I can't be bothered with all the marketing stuff. Jim just sends me a lead. I pay a fixed amount per lead, and then I go and book the job in. They're very well qualified leads. People have rung the call centre and say, hey, I need a dog groomer, usually based on the benefit of our brand.
Absolutely.
So they're great leads, but on the other side of it, there's people that have never taken a lead ever in dog wash, because you've got that capacity to build it up yourself as well if you want to.
Well, let's talk about the social media side of it for your franchisees, because it's really unique and forward thinking. It's not your typical franchising. I do think if you're looking at this, thinking about Jim's Dog Wash and other options, I think the social media policy of what you guys allow them to do is completely different to what other brands will, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about your social media strategy and how you allow franchisees to use it.
Well, it's a twofold thing. Firstly, they get more work. That's the biggest one. Like, I want a franchisee to get as much work as they possibly need. But the benefit is the brand is better known because they get rewarded for doing that work. I was speaking to someone a little while ago and they were saying, my guys never post on Facebook. And I said, because they don't get any reward for it. Like, if my guys do, they get work for it, and it's a benefit to them. It's a benefit for the whole division.
Yep.
It's a benefit for Jim's group. So it's such a good thing that they have that ability, to say, hey, I'm going to take some leads, but also I'm going to do a bit of work here. So if you get 5 leads from Jim, 5 leads from your social media, 5 from referrals, now you've got 15 leads instead of just 5. It's so good for franchisees, and it's been great for the brand as well.
It is, and I think you guys also allow them freedom to post what they like, which is not common in franchising. A lot of head offices will go, it needs to be on brand, or you can only use these 10 Canva posts, or we have to approve everything and this and that, which I think that's what most franchise brands are like. But you allow your franchisees to create videos in the trailer.
Yep.
You give them a lot of freedom too.
Well, we have you have to be in uniform, which is an important one. And that's pretty, well, you can't, nobody would even do the wrong thing.
No.
Like, it's common sense things. Like, you wouldn't get on there and swear or hold dogs by the tail or anything. So it's pretty all sensible, but it benefits them as well. So that's the beauty of having that flexibility. They feel more comfortable to do it in whatever media they want to. So some are only happy just to do before and afters. Some, like the one in Melbourne.
Anton, yeah.
He does live on TikTok,
which is
and
really
I
neat.
love it.
Yeah.
And he generates so much work for franchisees. He's generated franchise inquiries, and he wants to build it up so eventually he can do, give away free grooms for people because he can monetize it. It's such an amazing add-on to your own business.
I think it's an important point for people to know, because it's not common in franchising what we allow, what you allow in your division. But I think it's what you said, it's the benefit of the franchisee, as opposed to some employee in head office worrying about a font, or it's not on brand, or they don't agree with the type of video or whatever. We don't have that. And I think that's really important if you're a prospect and looking at gyms, to know that we have, in most divisions, we have this sort of creative freedom. Because the guy you mentioned, Anton, like, I've been out with him, he's going live showing, thousands of people watching his videos showing the process of a D-shed and that. And he's passing on work to other franchisees. And I reckon 99% of other franchise brands in the world would not allow that. Whereas we do, and it just benefits everyone.
I think too, if it depends what your mindset is as a franchisor. If your mindset is just on making money and looking after you, or if it's on whatever's the best thing for the franchisee, what's best for them. And if you're always making decisions based on that, you really can't go wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think franchisees, if they can generate work for themselves from social media, like, it just makes, it's a win-win. Like, they're happier. And you're right, if that video might get 5,000 views, like, that could be showed in WA or New South Wales or whatever, and they're creating some awareness there. I think it's great, and I think it's a really good forward-thinking thing of the future that the dog wash division has done, which has trickled into the group. But in franchising in general, not many people allow it. So if you are looking at this, really consider what's the social media policy of the franchise you're going into. Definitely. What are the restrictions? Because I think it's an important thing in the modern day, in 2026, that we allow this sort of stuff. But I was going to say as well, you'll probably get another question: how much will I make?
Yeah,
how much will I earn?
All the time.
Which is the most common question with any franchise. Sort of, how do you answer that, or how do you talk about
at the minimum, you've got the paperwork guarantee, which is the $2,500. We've got some franchisees that make dramatically more, and we've got some that make a lot less. What I kind of say to them is, go and do a trial day, and you can have a look. Write down how much they charge for each dog, have a look at how long they're taking, and then you can kind of work out what you would make in your business. It's not going to be the same for everybody. So once you've seen it, you can go, okay, well, I can comfortably make this amount because I know I can work this many dogs. And then if that income is good for you, then we can kind of continue on from there. But the trial day is an important one, so you can actually see it. Make notes, like, this dog took an hour and a half and they charged this much, and then you can kind of work out what your income will be. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how much people want to work or what their income is or what their bills are. It's for them to kind of, me to help guide them, but for them to work out if it's going to be a good fit for them.
Absolutely. So observation day, trial day is critical. And the paperwork guarantee, you're right, we do advertise, and that seems to be something people always fixate on. But knowing your unserviced leads in your division. But
that's not, it's just the minimum. People then go, is that all I can make? Well, no. You could make more, you could work more hours, you could have more trailers on, you could work extra hours, you could have your partner. There's so many other variables. The $2,500 a week is just a safety net particularly in the beginning when you first start, because you are going to be a bit slower grooming, you can bump up your income in the beginning when you start, but certainly not the upper limit of what you can make.
Now, question and comment we always see online with gyms is, you don't need gyms, just do some Facebook posts or buy your trailer and don't pay fees and away you go.
There are people that are better suited to do that, definitely. Right. There's some people that should not be in a franchise. But the difference of going on your own, you'll get the same end result, but maybe in 12 months' time. But with gyms, it'll happen so quickly. Within a month or 2 months, you're making more income than you ever imagined. And I sit at training with people and they make all these plans and they're like, yep, in 12 months I might start thinking about employer. I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to happen in about 3 months. And they ring me up and they said, you know what, I'm now achieving what I planned in my 5-year goal because it happens so quickly. The brand is so well known. There's so much work. And then there's so much support too. So we can kind of steer you in the right direction if something's going wrong. We can pick that. Sometimes even before you know that it's a problem in your business, we can see that it might be. So it helps you get to that point a lot quicker.
Yeah, because I think that's what people don't you got to make, if you're by yourself, you got to learn things, you got to make mistakes. You don't have a brand as well, so what you can charge is probably less until you get a reputation, I guess, in the area. So you lose out on all this income.
And you don't have the confidence to charge the prices you should charge. If you've got your franchisor saying, that's too cheap, charge more, you can do it, and giving you the confidence to charge that. And I find a lot of people that are independent are so underpriced.
Right.
Sometimes if you take out the GST and the costs and the fuel and all of those things, they might as well be on unemployment benefits,
Wow.
They just don't have that business guidance and support that you have in gyms.
And another question we get all the time is, well, what are the actual costs of running the business? So there's obviously a fuel cost, there's obviously the franchise fee monthly, and there's insurances. Is there obviously a bit of equipment and supplies which you get good deals on?
The biggest cost is your time.
Time, right.
Yeah, that's what people are paying for. Like to run a service industry or business, whatever industry it is, cleaning, mowing, dog work, they're paying for your time. You've got your fuel and your fees, which are the biggest expenses. I saw a thing the other day and I think it costs like 35 cents per job in shampoos.
Right.
So it's next to nothing. You might sharpen your blades twice a year, which is, $10, $12 to sharpen your blades. The big expense is your time, really.
Absolutely. And do you want to then talk about some of the other benefits of being a franchisee? Obviously, there's training. There's obviously the work is there clearly. They've got the support. Maybe is there anything else from the system perspective, or maybe go into more about the support? Like, is there ongoing meetings, or how does it all work?
Yeah, so in the beginning when you first start, you get weekly calls. Someone calling, checking in, and it's not just how's the weather, how are you? It's how is your business? What are your bookings looking like? What can I do to help you and support you? So you've got someone there every week, sometimes challenging you, but helping you set goals to get through. That first 3 months is the hardest 3 months. Whatever business you start in, it's a very steep learning curve. So if you've got someone there always available, that value is just immeasurable.
And the person doing that support, former franchisee or even a franchisee still, right? So it's someone who's not from a head office, they're an actual person who's
Someone's done it or currently still doing it. So they know, they've been in the trailer, they know the downfalls and and quite often somebody will ring up and say, I've got this issue. Well, actually, it happened to me the other day and these are what I did to fix it. Trailer issues is a big one too. So trailers there's a lot of working parts. You've got a network of people that all know how to fix that trailer. So if somebody can't help you, the next person will. We've got, trailer support people. We've got your franchisor who knows what we're doing. So there's always someone to get you out on the road. If something goes wrong with a trailer, we've got a fleet of trailers, we can replace it, we can do all sorts of things, so to minimise that downtime. If you're out on your own and something goes wrong, you've got to hope you can get in with a mechanic, and then you've got your trailer off the road all that time. So we try and keep them up and running, that sort of thing as well.
And if someone inquires, do they buy a package, like they buy the training and the trailer, or what do they get when they they inquire and buy the franchise?
So what we do with us, you get the trailer, but it's basically provided free of charge. It's theirs to use while they're a franchisee, so they can't take it and go and sell it and make a profit. And if they ever leave, the trailer comes back. But we look after all the repairs, maintenance, rego, insurance, everything's looked after. We do refurbishment. We had a franchisee just before Christmas, and he rolled his trailer, unfortunately. But because it was just before Christmas, we really didn't want him to be out of work. So we got a trailer to him within a day. So if that ever happened to anyone else, your trailer's off the road all of Christmas, that's it. We got him another trailer within a day, had a new trailer up and running. So that's kind of the benefit of that structure. We look after the trailers, you just look after your business and get that going.
Absolutely, and you obviously got training included in that, obviously the Gyms Group training, all that sort of stuff is done, plus the trailer.
We just do a package. And so one of the things, when I bought my franchise, they said to me, look, it's $3,000 plus GST. And coming from no business background, I didn't even know what GST meant. So, and he's saying it's $3,000 for this plus GST, and then it's $2,000 for this plus GST. And there were all these numbers, and I just couldn't get it all together. And then I still had to go and buy all these other things. So we just do a business in a box. Everything you need, all the hard work's been done. You don't have to go and source which are the best clippers or which are the best blades or how many blades you need. It's all in that one package and it's provided.
And with your division, I've noticed it's probably like, what's the split, 50-50 men and women? It's heaps of different backgrounds as well.
Yeah, like very different. People say to me, what's the average age? I couldn't tell you because we've got all age groups. We've got all, very, very different places that they were previously as well.
Seems very like different. It's a very broad division in terms of who can actually do it, right? You got somebody who's 20, you got somebody who's 60, right? And then chef, banker, lawyer, whatever. There's a broad...
Very much
it sort of suits everyone, really, doesn't it?
Well, you have to just like animals.
Yeah.
And I find the common thing is people say, look, I'm just fed up with having a boss. I just want to work on my own. I love animals. I'm just going to do that. And I think my experience is the worst day in the trailer is still so much better than working for someone else. You just get in the trailer and you've got this one little dog, you just bond with them and it's just so much better, so much better.
Absolutely. That's the best customer. You don't have to, if you've worked in an office with a lot of people and you're right, you go by yourself, you can put in your AirPods or whatever and just shoe on the dog and just relax. And that's something I actually have heard a bit when interviewing Jim's Dog Wash franchisees who come from maybe a school teaching background or something like that. Yeah. Just the relief they have just...
I had this plan when I first started that I was going to learn another language. I was going to have and I never did because I just loved the quiet and I never got around to it. Didn't listen to music. I just enjoyed the peace and quiet. I really did. Yeah.
Absolutely. What are some other common questions that you get from prospects about the division?
What if the dog bites me? I think that's a big one. Yep. People are very concerned that the dog's going to bite them. And I know we talked about in the beginning when I first came into gyms, we were getting dog bites all the time. But franchisees were getting their 2 days of grooming training, but there was no animal behaviour. It was all learn how to groom, here's a mannequin, and they would be very good groomers, but they didn't know how to handle the animal. And a lot of times you get bitten is because you've got your face right there in their face while you're cutting their nails. So part of the training is learning where to hold your body, how to hold the dog, how to position it so if it does want to lash out, your face isn't there. So you can learn to minimise that. And we do teach, that's a lot of the training is not so much grooming, but handling the animal and making sure you don't get bitten.
Absolutely. And there's also a pet first aid component, which I've seen as well, which is quite important.
We had a franchisee, brand new franchisee, and a dog passed away and he was able to revive it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the pet first aid. Yeah. And the owner was just, you can imagine the owner was beyond so ecstatic that he'd managed to save the dog.
And I think in your division as well, you can specialise, I guess, if you want in larger breeds or smaller breeds. I know Anton was doing a lot of bigger breeds because other groomers couldn't do it. So you can definitely go down and pick a niche almost in a way with your division too if you want to.
Big dogs are a big one because not many people want to do them. Yep. I find people my age, older women, tend to do the smaller dogs because it is a little bit of work. And then some people prefer the bigger dogs because they're very satisfying as well and it's good payment-wise as well.
Yeah, it is because it's definitely a tough job to do it. But the good thing about it is you can, if you want to specialise in that, you can, or
And the great thing is there's always other franchisees. I know my daughter, when she had her franchise, she tended to do the smaller dogs. There was another franchisee that did the bigger dogs. They just swapped dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one for you. Yep, I've got one for you.
What's the great thing in gyms is the network. You've got that ability to really quickly swap jobs and all that sort of stuff, right?
Indeed.
Which you wouldn't have that as an independent. And 230, I think your division's at 233 with franchisee numbers. Like, how much room do you reckon you can go? Because the unserviced is there to almost have, like, you could have 500 plus.
Easily, without even changing the advertising at the moment. I think we could get to 1,000.
Really?
Eventually, yeah. That's my goal, eventually.
Well, it could happen.
Yeah, there's certainly enough work to support that, definitely.
Now, is there anything else that you get asked that I haven't asked you about the division?
What else do I get asked? So the dog being bitten is a big one, like if you get bitten.
You guys have a conference every year as well?
Yeah, we have conferences. So I think one of the big things with gyms with dog wash, we try and really encourage that group, the family feel. And I find too, like, you're in the trailer all day by yourself, it's really good to come together as well. So I find if franchisees meet each other on the road, it's so exciting because you get to catch up. We like doing like Dog's Day Out and things. Remember we did that when we tried to break that world record?
Yeah, the world record.
That was so amazing. There was like 7 or 8, or maybe even more. I can't even remember how many trailers. And we were all lined up next to each other, and we'd wash dogs and we'd come out and chat. We used to do it at Bunnings as well. And I think having that networking opportunity is really important for franchisees as well.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a business. It's not just washing dogs.
Well, Jim always comments on the dog wash division because you guys are always in your red uniform. Everyone's together.
Yes.
Everyone's really involved in the training, asking heaps of questions, which is great as well. And I think it's a really good model for the other divisions to look at in regards to how your guys from the day one they come here. It's a really good impression.
I just had a call from another division, and he says, how do you get you guys in uniform all week? And I said, well, I'm here. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I come down on Sunday and I say, here's your uniforms. We're all going to be in our uniforms. I get a table reserved for us, so we all sit together, and it really encourages that little family feel from the beginning. We have our own little chat group, and every training group has their own chat group, and they continue that long after they go home. So it's really good. They've got that first little taste of Jim's Dog Wash family.
Absolutely, and plus you've got the Facebook group as well for your group, which is really active too. A lot of good exchanging of ideas and things like that from support, which is just another benefit.
And we run a lot of fun competitions. So just recently I did one, and I wanted them to get used to getting reviews on their Google. So I gave away I think it was a $400 set of clippers. Who gets the most Google reviews wins. And I think the winner got 132 Google reviews in 1 month.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of work will come through that area for it.
And that's the benefit is, like, even if you didn't win, you came second and you only got 120 reviews, what's the benefit to your business now with that Google? So we try and do a lot of those. We did one recently. We did a competition where who did the best video or who got the most likes on a post and things like that. So helping them, benefiting them to kind of help them as well.
Absolutely. And I was going to say as well, non-sort of dog wash division question, I guess, is you've been able to scale this division very quickly. So you've taken it over at here and you've gone to here to make it the biggest in Australia. As a divisional franchisor, like, how have you done it? Like, what do you think were the most important things to actually build this division? Was it making sure there was enough work in the first place, or was it just the training, or why has it actually been able to grow and just going to keep growing?
Yeah. Every part of my focus is on sales and growing. And so you kind of take a really broad look and you say, okay, so franchisees need to be happy so we can grow. So if you're looking at buying a franchise and you run into someone at the petrol station and they say, oh, Jim's Dog Wash is terrible. So we want every franchisee to go, Jim's Dog Wash is amazing. So how do we make them happy? Well, we make sure they've got enough work. How do we get more work? And so it kind of is my focus is really on sales, as well as making franchisees happy. But that franchisees being happy equates with more sales. They're more inclined to speak to people about how good it is. They will all want to get referrals and send them through. So it kind of is if we make them happy, then the division grows.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest focus, really. What's making them unhappy? They're not getting enough training, or they're not getting enough support, or they're not getting enough work. Fix all of those things, and then the division just grows all of its own.
But I think what you've done as well, Sharon, from my perspective, is you've put a lot of initiatives in place, and you've tried a lot of things. You haven't just done the same thing. Like, you've tried, all right, we're going to allow them to use Facebook pages, or we're going to do these competitions in these groups, or we're going to do the training. Like, you've put all these initiatives in. It hasn't just been, oh, I'm just going to do what Jim's tells me, which is the standard. I have to do this meeting and this and that. You've gone and looked at things to improve, and we're going to try things and do better. Yeah. And it's really built, those initiative that you've done, especially the Facebook stuff, has really been able to then build that platform for you then to be able to really grow and everyone have enough work. Grow the division. Yeah.
And so that's what I said in the beginning. It's not just doing sales. It's making sure everything is working well. It's hard to bring on new people and say, hey, this is a great division, when every single franchisee is miserable. You know, if they haven't got enough work, they're not going to be happy. If they feel isolated or not supported, they're not going to be happy. And one of my big things I do is go out on a trial day. If I'm sending them out on a trial day with someone that's not making enough money, then it's not going to help the division grow. So it's kind of one of those partnerships. If they're happy, then it kind of grows all of its own.
Absolutely. Is there anything else I should ask you that I haven't asked you?
Not really.
Not really?
Oh, I am a new grandmother.
Ah, well, congratulations, yes.
That's the most important one.
Yeah.
So, yes, my daughter had her first baby, so I had my first grandchild.
And
very exciting. Little girl.
Little girl, yep.
Yeah, name's Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Yeah.
Evelyn, nice classic name.
So that's why I disappeared. I wasn't here last training.
No, it's very understandable. Important. That's more important than
very exciting.
Very, very exciting. And
that's all.
They're all going well?
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
So she was a franchisee.
Yeah.
Sold her business and then used the money from the sale of the business to buy a house.
Right.
And now had a baby.
There you
so
go.
Exciting.
Congratulations.
Totally non-gyms related.
No, that's all good. If people want to learn more, obviously, Shannon, do an observation day or trial day. What do they have to do?
gymsdogwash.net.au, 131546.
Yep, and I recommend checking out the Day on the Road when that come out as well. We've got a lot of content with Sharon as well, answers all these questions. There's heaps of stuff online, and we know the better franchisees watch all that stuff as well, so make sure you watch it. But thanks for coming in today, Sharon. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.